What the hell did I just watch? In all sincerity, who the hell in the world that is human, would be driven to create such a sick and twisted monstrosity on a kid's show? Nothing could honestly ruin something for you any worse than this did for me. I was at Walmart to get some DVDs, most of them were Pokemon, Gajiland, Tom and Jerry, Augie and the Cockroaches, Looney Tunes, and Pingu DVDs. I was going to get some Pingu DVDs until I saw one that caught my attention. It was a Pingu DVD that had a regular sticker instead of a factory sticker called Pingu Episode QRO64. I was pretty interested in that. A guy who worked at Walmart walked up to me and said,
"Dude, are you going to buy that?"
I said yes to the guy. As I got home I popped the DVD into the DVD player on my TV. When the menu showed up I saw something that took me by surprise and sent chills down my spine. It was an image of disturbing creepy cartoon depictions of Pingu and the other characters with insane lunatic facial details. I am not sure if it was the brightness of my laptop or the fact that Pingu and his family's faces were illuminated due to video quality, but the faces were really creeping me out. The menu choices were play the episode and extras. Wanting to get the menacing look of the Pingu family's faces off the screen as soon as possible, I choose play the episode. The intro was normal, well almost normal until Pingu smiled, which wasn't his usual smiles from the other intros. He was smiling in a very creepy way and said,
"Sometimes dead is better."
From how much I could pick up from it, it was not something I would like to see at 5 p.m. alone in my room. When it ended, a strange negative static-like image flashed on screen with the sound of static. The episode starts with Pingu's parents in the living room crying. What also I heard that the graphics of the episode looked like the graphics you see in some of the episodes of Barney and Friends. Pingu was there and said,
"Why are they crying?"
Pingu said,
"Grandpa just got hit by a truck. They showed me and my parents a picture of his body."
What freaked me out was the picture of the dead penguin that was ran over was not in claymation. It was either CGI or real. It cut to a black screen. I felt a chill down my spine. It cut to the family at the funeral and this scene of the episode seemed normal besides the CGI or realistic dead penguin that was ran over. Pingu giving a evil smile and saying sometimes dead is better in that intro, and that freaking main menu screen. It cut to a black screen again for 26 seconds, which felt like a decade, and then the family was going back to their home having lunch. Pingu's mom was cooking lunch. Then they all ate their lunch food, which looked like a glitchy mess. And after they were done eating, Pingu froze.
"Pingu,"
said his dad.
"is there anything wrong?"
And then Pingu's eyes became bloodshot and then he started to choke his dad. His mom freaks out and tries to stop Pingu doing this, only to get knocked out by Pingu as it cut to another black screen. I was getting sick of this. I waited about 10 minutes while I was on Facebook on my phone. I looked up and decided to pull the DVD out of the DVD player, but just before I did that, it cut to the scene with a loud sound that scared the crap out of me and the TV lighted up. So fast I screamed. Pingu screamed at the top of his lungs.
"Oh God, what have I done?"
The sound blared out of my TV so loudly that it felt like it was causing a violent rumbling impact upon my spine, making me jolt and spaz in panic and fear. Pingu's body was terrible. Her left arm was removed, and her face was mangled up, and her head was removed. Pingu's mom was even more worse. Both of her eyes were gouged out, and her legs were chopped in half. Her beak was slit open, and she was even skinned alive. Pingu's dad was the worst though. His beak too also slit open. His chest was stabbed 10 times like if someone stabbed him 10 times with a knife, and both of his limbs were chopped off like if someone grabbed a chainsaw and chopped him limb by limb. The walls were covered in blood. It was a crazy bloodbath, but it wasn't the blood or Pingu's mom and dad and Pingu's dead bodies that were traumatizing to look at. It was Pingu's face. His face was terrifying. His eyes were opened up so wide his eyes were almost popping out of his sockets. Veins in his forehead were very visible with his blood coursing through them, and his eyes. His eyes looked shocking, menacing, demonic, insane, and ridden with psychotic lunacy. All of his veins were popping out in dark red blood. The bottom half was bloodshot, turning from a blackish color to a sudden. He had light red irises. They seemed to be flowing with blood. Blood was splattered all over his face. He stared deep into my soul and past it. His face was unbearable to look at. I jumped back and fell off of my bed in one motion. I was breathing so hard it hurts and I felt like my heart was skipping beats. When I looked up, something about the TV made it seem like it turned to face Pingu's face directly at me during the fall. I grabbed the remote and shooted it off. I could still hear Pingu's voice screaming and wailing.
What have I done? I killed my mom, dad and Pingu.
In false hope of doing anything, I grabbed the remote to turn down the volume, trying to get it to shut up. Pingu continued to wail even though my TV's volume is at 0%. The episode ended there. There was no credits, it just cut to black. It took me a good 15 minutes to collect myself and wonder what the hell was going on. I decided to pull the DVD out of the DVD player and smash it. So when I pulled out the DVD out of the DVD player, the main menu showed up even though I pulled it out. I got scared when it did that. This menu screen did not look the same like the other menu screen I saw before. It had the same dead bodies of Pingu's family lying there dead with the other characters dead in there, along with some gore stains. I assumed that the brightness of the blood showing up burnt into my screen. I was both confused, scared, but most of all angry. The gore looked similar to Modern Warfare 2 when you get injured and have to get to cover, except far more realistic. It looked as if somebody literally blew their brains out all over my TV screen. I did everything I could think of to get rid of the menu screen, using the remote to change the channel, pressing the power button, unplug the goddamn TV plug 4 times, it wouldn't work. My TV is cursed with Pingu's murderous guilt. I was hoping to not see something that would not screw up my head. Pingu appeared on the screen with his menacingly insane look. This time, he was holding Pingu, which is his girlfriend, upside down. Pingu was holding a scalping knife up to her chest. Pingu's face is the most worst and traumatizing thing I ever seen in this terrifying main menu screen. She too had 2 bloodshot bulging eyes looking ready to pop out. Her beak hung wide open even though she was upside down. Blood ran out her beak down to her scalp. Pingu was looking at the screen while holding Pingu upside down, and he started to smile as he brings the scalping knife closer to her chest and starts knifing. Realistic blood gushes out of the new wounds. I couldn't take it. My eyes were also bulging out of their sockets like Pingu and Pingu's eyes as I pressed the power button over and over and over and over and over again. My eyes must have widened like a madman. I had enough of this crap. I took the DVD on a table and smashed it with a hammer. The sounds of excruciating pain, gurgling, and flesh ripping continued for 1 minute. 1 minute, which seemed like an eternity. The sound stopped and TV shooted off and I just laid down on my bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. I could not think of anything but the gore. It's burned into my mind. My ceiling seemed to be thriving with exploded flesh and penguin entrails. I slept instantly because I was so tried because of that experience. I passed out around at 7 p.m. I then had a nightmare of seeing a penguin with sharp teeth killing other penguins. It saw me and it chased me, but luckily I found a house and got in it and locked the door. It kept banging on the door and I thought I was safe until looked in the mirror and saw Pingu behind me. I screamed and woke myself up in bed sweating with fear at 9 a.m. I could never get the image out of my head. Every time I looked somewhere, everything seemed to symbolize the gore patterns upon Pingu's face. All I knew for sure was that I could never watch Pingu ever again. After a long time of being haunted by the scene of murder, I decided the only way out of this hell is to deal with it, dealing that it would be a part of me for a long time. That is when I started waking up with bloody ears. I would go to the mirror and find my own blood coming out of my ears as I smiled like Pingu did, in the same exact pattern every time.